So are you the lights on or lights off kind of woman? Well, before you think too hard about it, what I'm talking about has nothing to do with the lights on your nightstand. This is about dimming your light. See, most women dim their light. And this is not about on the stage and being bold and drawing attention to yourself. This is about abandoning yourself for the people that you are in relationship with. You're about to cross over the threshold. Welcome back, Star Family, to House of Worth. And today we are going to be talking about the seventh house. And the seventh house is the house of relationships. But not only that, it is when you cross over the threshold of all of the inner work that you've been doing. See, this is your external world. And the room of choice for this house is the master bedroom. So I show you how I look at the houses in your natal chart from an interior designer's perspective. I have assigned a room to each zodiac house. And according to your rising sign, you will find what you have as far as your zodiac in the seventh house. So today we're going to be talking about where you're dimming your light, your relationships, who you're most compatible with, your aesthetic for the master bedroom. And this is about understanding what you're attracted to, whether it's aesthetic or a person's personality or what's different about them. But first of all, I want to talk about dimming your light. Now, I'm not going to go too deep into it. If you want to learn more about dimming your light, you can head over to celiasasser.com and check out my blog post where I go in depth about dimming your light and how you can notice the signs and what you can do if you want to exit out of a relationship where you are dimming your light. But what that means is you're abandoning yourself, your true authentic self, to make other people feel comfortable. And you'll know this because the partner that you're with is always trying to manage you instead of being in an equal partnership. And there are signs, and I go into those signs on my blog post. But when I say that you're crossing the threshold, because we have gone over the first house, which is about your core identity. We've gone over the second house, which is your material world, what you enjoy in the material world according to your second house placements, your talents, and how you earn your money. We've talked about the third house in your communication style, your fourth house, your house of stability and where you feel safe and things that you picked up from your family members. We've talked about the fifth house, which is the house of your self-expression. And we just recently covered the sixth house, which is about how you serve others, your daily habits, and working with coworkers. But we focus on the internal world, how you approach the world from your inner world, the belief systems you have. It's around your self-worth. Finding your worth in each house where your value is that you connect with authentically. Because most of us are operating from not being enough. And self-worth is a big component to manifesting the life that you want. Because if you don't believe you have value, then you're not going to attract what you want. You're not going to step out of your comfort zone and go after what you really, really desire because you don't feel like you're good enough. And self-worth is a program that we pick up that is in our subconscious mind. And that's why it's hard for us to manifest, because we don't even realize that we're operating by these belief systems. So my hopes is to uncover some of those just through your astrological chart to see if you're in alignment with your placements, or are you giving your power away. And when I say you're crossing over the threshold, it is because this is the most intimate space from going into the inner world and taking everything that you've learned about yourself to now combining it with another person, having a relationship with another person. That's why I say the most important relationship you'll ever have is the one that you have with yourself. And if you don't know yourself, right, and you're just operating on autopilot, then you're attracting things from the external world that don't align with you. And that means relationships, toxic relationships, trauma bonding relationships, relationships that you deny yourself, that you aren't showing up authentically because you've learned from the rules from the patriarchal system that you're supposed to be a good girl, don't speak your mind, stay quiet, don't ask for what you need, don't show your true expression in your relationship, don't outshine your partner. And women do this all of the time. And we're all adults here. My channel is for 18 and over, and majority of my audience are female. So I just want to have a conversation with you about the big O. Most women, when they dim their light, they don't even know how to ask for what they want in an intimate situation in your master bedroom. That's why I chose the master bedroom. Because when I say, do you have the lights on or the lights off? Are you more comfortable with the lights off because you're constantly like criticizing and critiquing yourself, and you just feel more safe with the lights off? There could be other reasons why you like the lights off. I mean, maybe you just feel it's more intimate. But I came across a podcast, and I think it was called What Do You Want? And Heather Locklear is on this podcast. And they're women in their 50s, early 60s, talking about relationships. And one of the questions was, have you ever experienced the big O in an intimate relationship? Who hasn't experienced it in a relationship? And Heather Locklear raised her hand, and so did the other host. I think all three women raised their hands, and that was like shocking when Heather Locklear raised her hand, because she was married to Tommy Lee, and we all know the story about the tape, right? So that goes to show she's also a Libra. I don't know her rising sign, but she's a Libra sun. And Libra women are very nurturing in their relationships, and they love love. But how do you have an intimate relationship and you can't even talk about your needs and what you desire? And you just let the male counterpart just take charge, and it's more about them than it is you. And that's part of dimming your light, because we learn at a younger age not to ask for what we want. We have a hard time with receiving. So that's why the seventh house is so important. Not only does it show you what zodiac sign you're most compatible with, but it also is about how you have relationship with people, even partnerships, business partnerships, because all relationships are the same, except for one's more one-to-one in closeness, and the other is, not more about intimacy. But even when they say that you should be looking at marriage partnership as a business, because they work, it's together, right? It is about your business partner, and it is also about your relationship, your intimate relationship. Another thing is that Venus is the natural ruler of the seventh house, and she is also the natural ruler of the second house. And the second house is about how you make your money. And so, if you don't have those discussions with your partner, the number one reason why people get divorced is because of money. So, it's important to have those conversations. And another thing is, in the years that I was an interior designer, what I noticed is that most women were more worried about doing all the other rooms in their house than the master bedroom. The master bedroom is always the last room to get done. And I thought, why is that? Because it's behind closed doors, because it's not that important to them. Um, and it should be the most important room because it's where you spend a majority of your life when you're sleeping. So you always should, be concerned about the sheets and the bed that you sleep on and the pillows and the lighting. And it should feel like a retreat at the end of the day. And if you have a room that's full of chaos and it doesn't feel like a retreat, how do you wake up fully rested? So that was another thing that I noticed in my interior design business, that it was like the master bedroom was always an afterthought, or was always the last room to get done after you've done the kitchen and you've, done the living room. And so it's more like, I feel like with women, it's more about how they serve. And so that's why it's so important. Like women love to have a beautiful kitchen because it's where they spend a lot of time. And we talked about that in the last video in the sixth house. So I just want to get into this video about the seventh house according to your rising sign, and help shed some light, no pun intended, of where you're giving your power away when it comes to the seventh house. So I'm going to use the master bedroom as the aesthetic. So I will pop up an image of what that room would look like according to your rising sign. And then remember, it is your seventh house placement, so it's going to be different than your rising sign, but it is aligned with your chart. If you don't have your chart in front of you, let me just, before I begin, you can get a free copy at astroseek.com. What you want to do is you want to make sure that you draw it up in whole sign, because if you use the Placidus system, the houses will be uneven and it'll look like you have more than one zodiac sign in one house, and it's very hard for you to go along with this system that I'm talking about. So make sure that you draw it up in whole sign. If you don't know where that is, you can scroll down. Once you've drawn up your chart, you will see two little cogs, look like little wheels in like a watch, and it says the systems, house systems, and you click on that, and then where it says Placidus, you'll click there, you'll scroll down to whole sign, click, and then click redraw, and you'll get the right chart so that you can look at your chart. And then also, if you want me to go a little bit more in depth around your particular zodiac sign in the seventh house, make sure that you comment down below what your rising sign is, what your Venus placement is. And I will go into depth with, I'm going to choose one person. I haven't gotten through all of it because everything's just been crazy with the timing, but I am going to go back and I will pick with each video under each house. I will pick someone to do a more in-depth, like I did with the first house. Somebody's already won the first house, and I did a special video, in-depth video for them, and I will do that for the other videos. So let's just get into it. Okay, so if you have an Aries rising, I'm going to just pop up what your aesthetic is for the room. You like minimal, bold, uncluttered bedrooms that have like a strong headboard, clean lines, like a more of a, you know, I don't want to say athletic because we're not shooting hoops in the master bedroom, but it's more of a streamline, more leaning towards masculine, and it's a luxury feel, like leather, wool, matte metals. And the bedroom feels like a reset chamber, not a nest. And so the best compatible zodiacs for an Aries rising would be a Libra, Leo, or Sagittarius. Now, your relationship style with a seventh house Libra becomes diplomatic, considerate, and refined. Another relationship style that you have is that you learn partnership through balance and fairness. So when you are in a relationship, you do truly look at it like a partnership. And if you have somebody that is not aligned with that, then you can feel the tension with that partner. Now, where you dim your light as an Aries rising with a Libra seventh house is you soften your instincts. Like Aries has a very fire instinctual behavior, and you soften them when it comes to partnership. You pause action to avoid conflict. So where, where you should be a little bit more aggressive, you soften it because you're worried more about the partnership. But you have to learn how to communicate with your partner in order to know when to take the action. Okay. So that could also hurt you in that way, where you're impulsive and you're not reading the room. And then you're over considering others instead of trusting impulse. So like if you have this impulse for the relationship, you might hold yourself back because you're saying, maybe like thinking about them, maybe they're not interested, maybe this isn't the right timing. It's like constantly overthinking the process. And so with a Libra, you're attracted to Libras because Libras are the nurturers, the givers. And going back to dimming, like if you are an Aries rising and you're attracted to Libras because that's in your seventh house, you need to consider the fact that a Libra will not ask for what she wants. So you're going to have to take charge in asking the questions of what they need in the relationship from you, and not just assume, because he or she will show up and overgive and take care of you in hopes that you um, return what they're giving to, because they're all about fairness and equality. So they want you to return what they're giving, but they don't speak it. They just assume it. And that's what causes the friction. Okay, so let's move on to Taurus Rising. So Taurus Rising's master bedroom aesthetic, and again, here's your image I'm going to put up here of the master bedroom, but it's lush, sensual, and grounded. Earth tones, cream, sage, and blush. There's candles. There's a scent, like you have a signature scent in the room, and sound insulation because you want to feel like you're safe, you're in a cocoon. And again, it's feeling like a sanctuary for the senses. That is what your master bedroom would look like as far as the aesthetics. Now, your best compatible zodiac would be Scorpio, Virgo, or Capricorn. Now, your relationship style with having a Scorpio in the seventh house is you bond deeply. As a Taurus rising with the seventh house Scorpio, you bond very deeply, intensely, and privately. You also, it's all about transformation through intimacy. So, it's because you're so sensual, and you want this bond. And if you're attracting somebody who is not ready for that, they will be turned off by it. They'll be pushed away because you're just like, they'll look at it as if they have trauma or they aren't coming from their healthy self. They might look at it like you're being needy, but that is just your love language. So you have to be aware of who you are attracting. And earth signs will get this because you are an earth sign, and then also Scorpio, because Scorpios are very passionate and with intimacy, so they'll understand. Now, where you dim your light is avoiding emotional risk, suppressing desire to keep the peace, and staying comfortable instead of evolving. And in partnership, it's really important that you say what's coming up, that you're spontaneous, that you don't suppress your desires, that you share them, because nobody's a mind reader. And this even goes for partnership, a business partner. Like, of course, you're not going to be talking about intimacy, but you can't expect the person to read your mind. And then also, you have to be able to take a little bit of a risk, whether it's dating or asking somebody out on a date, or a partner in partnership as far as a business partner, or even in your relationship, because you have a habit of getting comfortable in the relationship and then assuming that the person knows what you want, and they don't. So good communication is very important, because of Venus is the ruler of Taurus, but then Pluto is the ruler of Scorpio. And so Scorpio's energy is about transforming the relationship so it doesn't stay stagnant. Now let's just move on to Gemini Rising. So if you're a Gemini Rising, here's an image of the bedroom and your master bedroom aesthetic. And it's light-filled, playful, mixed textures, layered books and mirrors, neutral base with pops of color, flexible furniture, space to think, and a bedroom as a mental decompression zone. Like, going back to when I said, as an interior designer, how it was always the last room of the house to be decorated. And you have to think of the master bedroom is the place where you spend a majority of your time. That's where you rest and recoup. So it needs to give back. And for you, it's about mental decompression. So don't have your office in your bedroom, and don't have a TV in your bedroom. And that will help you. Geminis also, they are more compatible. Their best compatible zodiac is Sagittarius, Libra, and Aquarius. And their relationship style is they need freedom, truth, and growth. And their relationships feel like an adventure. If it gets too predictable, they get bored. And then also, where they dim their light is they are playing agreeable, downplaying curiosity to avoid seeming inconsistent, editing their thoughts instead of expressing them. Because remember, this is the seventh house of relationship. You have to show up authentically. You can't dim your light and stuff everything down and expect for that person to understand you when you're not willing to take the risk and show up authentically in the relationship. You're also a truth seeker when it comes to your relationship. So if somebody overcrosses their boundaries and lie to you and are dishonest, you're done. And then, as a Gemini rising and having a Sagittarius seventh house, you do, even though you're an air sign, and so you love deep conversations and you love for the mind to be stimulated, but you do love somebody that is spontaneous, who wants to travel, who has a sense of adventure. Otherwise, you get really bored. Now let's move on to Cancer Rising. This is your master bedroom aesthetic here in this image, and it is soft, nostalgic, cocoon-like, layered bedding, antique or heirloom touches, moonlight tones, pearl, silver, soft blues. Emotional safety is the priority. Now, the best compatible zodiac for you is Capricorn, Pisces, or Scorpio. Your relationship style is serious, loyal, duty-oriented, and you seek stability and long-term commitment. So once you've made your mind up to be in a relationship, that is it for you. You are in it, you are committed, and if somebody crosses the line and hurts your feelings and you resort to going back into your shell, they're done. It's very hard, to win you back over once you feel threatened. Where you dim your light is hiding vulnerability, becoming overly self-sufficient, and carrying emotional weight silently. So, it's like you don't want to be seen like the weak one. You're always, I can do it myself. I can do this. You're more in your masculine energy. And then you care if your feelings get hurt and you're not communicating with your partner, you hold on to it. You don't express your feelings and you sulk and you retreat, and they're trying to get back in and open up and have the conversation, but you have a hard time because that's just a Cancer's emotional bandwidth. But Capricorn, having a Capricorn seventh house, Capricorns are about, taking chances, being traditional, speaking your truth in the sense of what you want, what you expect from a person. And it could be a little bit, because Saturn is the natural ruler of Capricorn, it could be like a disciplinary, a drill sergeant. So you got to be careful when you're in partnership that you do remember your rising sign as the Cancer. So it has to have that happy balance of masculine and feminine energy. Now, if you're a Leo rising, your master bedroom aesthetic, here's the image here, is regal, dramatic, intentional. Statement headboard, gold accents, warm lighting, rich colors, a bedroom as a private throne room. So you want to know that you feel like you're royalty when you step into your bedroom. Now, your best compatible zodiac is Aquarius, Aries, or Sagittarius. Now, your relationship style with the seventh house Aquarius is you need equality, individuality, and space. Relationships must feel liberating. You also, you're attracted to different types of relationships. So you might date out of your race. You might date the same gender. You might have like younger or older. You don't want to fit into society's rules when it comes to relationships. Now, where you dim your light is you tone down your radiance, shrinking to avoid intimidation and withholding joy to maintain distance. So it's like you are afraid to show your authentic self, your playful self, your joyful self, you're in fear of being seen too weird, not seeming normal. But we have to remember, with the Leo rising in an Aquarius seventh house, that's what you are attracted to. You're attracted to somebody being different. And sometimes an Aquarius can seem a little aloof, and you second guess yourself about the relationship. So you have to be mindful of that, because they're loyal, and as a Leo rising, you need to know that you're investing in a relationship that's going to give back to you. But that's also why you're attracted to Aries and Sagittarius, because they give that passion and that fire back to you because you're a fire sign. So it's very important that you also give yourself what you need. So always step into that freedom, unconventional side of you. When you have relationships with other people, you don't want to fit inside of the box and be predictable. Okay, so now we're going to move on to Virgo Rising. Now, if you're a Virgo Rising, this would be your aesthetic for your master bedroom. Clean, calming, precise, neutral palette, linen, light wood, everything has a place. Bedroom has a nervous system regulator. So if there's too much clutter, too much stuff, you don't get a good night's rest. Now, your best compatible zodiac would be Pisces, Taurus, and Capricorn. Relationship style for a seventh house Pisces would be compassionate, spiritual, emotionally porous, meaning that you are open to holding space for someone's emotions. And then learns surrender and faith. And then where you dim your light as a Virgo rising is you're overgiving, you're losing your boundaries, and you're fixing instead of receiving because you want to control everything. The perfectionist of the Virgo, wanting to make sure that everybody is where they need to be, but also because you have that Pisces seventh house means that when it comes to relationships, you're very empathic. You feel their energy. And so you overgive yourself because you feel their pain. But when it comes to you, you don't know how to ask for what you need. You don't know how to receive, because you're more comfortable when it comes to relationships being the giver than receiving. And so that's where you're dimming your light. So you need to learn how to ask for your needs, ask for what you want. Don't hide. Be your Pisces self, in relationships, because even though you're a Virgo rising in a relationship, you enjoy being compassionate and spiritual, and you want somebody on that level with you. Okay, now we're going to move on to the Libra rising. And if you're Libra rising, this is the image of your master bedroom aesthetic. And it is elegant, balanced, romantic, soft symmetry, blush ivory gold, art, mirrors, flowing fabrics, bedroom as a shared harmony field. So you have a problem with sharing your space as long as it feels romantic and it feels, what's the word I'm looking for? Like it's holding you in love and compassion. You're all for that. So that's why your bedroom has to have a shared harmony feel. So if you're with somebody who's not a giver, it cuts off that space in feeling comfortable in a relationship and wanting to give more of yourself. And because, Libras are the lovers, okay? They love love and they love beauty and romance, and they will give and put themselves last. Going back to when I was talking about Heather Locklear and what she did not receive from her relationships, because she's the giver. She's known as being very low key, very easygoing, very down to earth. But those are how she's being approached. But that's because she's dimming herself, if you didn't catch that part of the video. So you're best compatible as a Libra rising with Aries because they give you the fire that you need. They take charge. They're spontaneous. They give you the passion that you want. And then also Gemini and Aquarius, you would be compatible because they are your fellow air signs and they're stimulating with the mind. Now, your relationship style is for a seventh house Aries would be passionate, direct, dynamic, relationships that activate courage. Now, this isn't only intimate relationships. This is relationships as partnerships, business partnerships. You want somebody that's going to be direct because I hate to say this, but most Libras are very indecisive. They have a bad rap for that. It's like they can't make up their mind because they're always weighing the scales, like if I choose this, am I going to miss this? So they need somebody that's going to take action, make a decision, and then they're like, okay, let them take charge. Now, where you dim your light is avoiding confrontation, choosing peace over truth, and deferring decisions to others. So, if you're doing those things, you're dimming your light because what you're saying is that I can't speak my truth of what's bothering me because I don't want the confrontation, or I'll just hold it in. I won't say what's on my mind because I want to keep peace. Or you're saying that it's not safe to make a decision because what if I make the wrong decision? So everybody's got to make the decisions for me, and you're just end up being in NPC and non-playing character in your life. You're not taking action and playing and being the main character in your relationship. So keep that in mind. Now let's move on to Scorpio Rising. If you're a Scorpio Rising, then this here is your aesthetic for your master bedroom. And it is dark, private, magnetic, deep tones, layered lighting, sensual textures, minimal exposure, medium or bedroom as a sealed energetic chamber. So you want it to be private. You're probably the person that's like, if you're married, no kids are allowed in the bedroom. Like, this is my chamber. Now, your best compatible zodiac would be Taurus, Cancer, and Pisces. So Earth really grounds you. And your relationship style with the seventh house Taurus is you seek loyalty, consistency, and physical presence. And love must feel safe. So if you're not getting that from your relationships, then that's where you start to see issues. And this could be an intimate relationship, but it also can be in a work environment, like a partner, work partner. Anytime you have a partner, whatever it is, those are things that you are looking for in order to trust that person. Now, where you dim your light is you withhold your emotions and you avoid softness and you're guarding vulnerability too tightly. So you're afraid to just let go and trust. And even though you have these like stressful situations that you're dealing with or emotional, like you keep it to yourself and you hold it in. And so it's like you could physically make yourself sick because you hold on to so much stress because you don't want to share that it's hard, or you feel alone, or you're really stressed out about something. You just want to look like you can manage everything, and it ends up taking a toll on you. So if you're doing those things, you picked up something that said that it's not good to show your emotions and that you have to be strong in every situation, because if you show somebody that you're weak, they're going to take advantage of you. And being vulnerable, never. I would never be vulnerable and tell what's really going on with me or what really happened to me. And all of those things, because you hold on to them, doesn't mean that you're stepping in your light and you're confident. It means that you aren't, because you think that you're going to be judged by being those things. Okay, let's move on to Sagittarius Rising. If you're Sagittarius Rising, this is your aesthetic in your master bedroom. Open, airy, worldly, natural light, travel artifacts, minimal clutter. The bedroom is a launch pad, not an anchor. So your bedroom needs to make you feel like, what's your next adventure going to be? Just really feeds into world traveler look. Okay, now your best compatible zodiac is Gemini, Leo, and Aries. And your relationship style with the seventh house Gemini is you need communication and mental stimulation. You aren't getting that in a relationship, you get bored. You hate surface level conversations. You hate empty conversations that are just hold no weight. You don't want to talk about the weather. Uh, and then also, your relationships thrive on curiosity because you're so spontaneous. You want a partner that's willing to go for the treasure hunt, who's willing to pick up and say, hey, let's just do this trip and let's just wing it, or let's just plan it and see what unfolds. If you have somebody that plays it too safe, then you're going to get bored in the relationship. Now, where you dim your light is that you avoiding depth and keeping things light to escape responsibility and dodging emotional accountability. So that's where Sagittariuses get a bad rap of being non-committal. And so when you try to keep it superficial, it doesn't work for you because you need in depth. But that is saying, I'm going to dim my light. I'm not going to show that part of me because it's not safe. And I don't want to be. I don't want to be responsible for this person, or I don't want to be in a committed relationship because I don't want to be responsible. I don't want to have a partner that I've got to um, I have to report to or explain myself. So that is where you might think it's a strength and you're showing confident, but that is where you are dimming your light. All right, so let's talk about a Capricorn rising. This is your bedroom aesthetic here in this image. It's structured, timeless, quiet luxury, dark wood, tailored bedding, minimal but intentional, and the bedroom as a restoration chamber. So you want to feel restored when you put in your hard day's work because could have the reputation of being a workaholic. You want to make sure that you feel restored at the end of the day and that you can start it all over again. Now, your best compatible zodiac is Cancer, Taurus, and Virgo. Because you are so in your masculine and you're the go-getter, you need somebody that's going to soften things and nurture. And so, or a compatible earth sign who is just as grounded as you are. So your relationship style as a seventh house Cancer is you seek emotional warmth and safety, and you soften through intimacy. So this is the time that you can really let your guard down, and but you need somebody that's going to come in with an open heart and you feel seen with them. Now, where you dim your light is you suppress your needs and you prioritize duty over feelings, and being strong instead of open. So that's heavily in your masculine. So if you're finding that it's really hard to find a partner, it's because they're sensing that from you. But if you date a Cancer, they're going to, because they are so nurturing and giving, they're going to be attracted to that. But then also, you need to be able to give them back the emotional warmth and safety that they're giving you, and not be in that whole suppressing your needs and duty over feeling, because they cannot be the constant giver in the relationship. And that even goes with business partnerships. It has to be a give and take, and it can't be all like, this is my plan, it's very rigid, this is how I see it, you got to play by my rules, this is going to work, I know. Like, no, it's like, okay, what is your um opinion? What do you see? What is your input? It's not just you. All right, we're going to move on to Aquarius Rising, and this is your aesthetic in your master bedroom if you're an Aquarius Rising. You love unconventional, spacious, future forward, cool tones, tech integrated. Now, one thing I don't like about Aquarius risings, um, they're always being summed up as wanting tech integrated. Like you might like some gadgets in the room, because I'm in Aquarius rising and I'm not. But again, remember this does me. You have to see where you have your Venus placement, and I know because my Venus is in Cancer, so that's why I don't relate to this. Um, but also, it's like in the bedroom. Do you need it to be futuristic? Probably not, but very minimal and unique. You want your space to look unique. You don't want it to look like everybody else's. And your bedroom is a detached, recharge space. So you look at it like I'm recharging in here, and you're not, you know, getting like it's like you look at the room as being a technical thing. Like I'm going in there, I'm recharging, it has to have X, Y, and Z. And as long as I'm getting that, everything's good. It's not, you're not paying attention to like the details and, you know, all of the other stuff when it comes to a master bedroom. Now, your best compatible zodiac is a Leo, Gemini, or Sagittarius. And your relationship style with a seventh house Leo is you need devotion, loyalty, and warmth. And you learn to receive attention, because in your Aquarius rising, you are always behind the scenes. So Leo is teaching you and mirroring you to be able to have some attention and not always hiding. And then where you dim your light is emotional detachment, intellectualize feelings, and avoiding personal intensity. So again, as an Aquarius rising with a Leo seventh house, you really want someone that is going to make you feel nurtured and seen. But if you are dimming your light and you don't feel like you're deserving of that, then you'll be emotionally attached. And that person's always going to be wondering, like, am I over giving, or am I doing too much? And then you're like always thinking about, well, why did they do this? And why are they doing that? Overthinking why they do the things that they do. And you do need to learn how to receive, because you can't be the one because you think freedom means that you don't give. And then that's what keeps the relationship out of balance. Okay, now we're moving on to Pisces. And is Pisces rising. This is your aesthetic in your master bedroom. It's ethereal, dreamlike fluid, gauze curtains, soft light, water elements, lavender, seafoam, pearl. A bedroom that is a portal between worlds. Like you want to go in and the fantasy and magic, and that's really what lights you up is in your master bedroom. Now, your best compatible sign is Virgo, Cancer, and Scorpio. Now, the reason why you're attracted to Virgos is because they bring out things that you feel safe with, because Pisces is very compassionate and seeing into the spiritual realm and very feeling, and a Virgo is grounded and will get them out of their comfort zone. Now, your relationship style with the seventh house Virgo is needing grounding and practical care. Relationships provide structure. That's why you're attracted to the Virgo. Now, where you dim your light is self-sacrifice, losing identity and partnership, and absorbing other people's emotions as your own. So you have to have spiritual hygiene. You have to understand when you're taking on somebody, it's not always about you. When you feel somebody's emotions, they could be going through something, but you will internalize it because you absorb it and you are like, oh my gosh, I did something wrong. And then it's like, oh, what do I do? How can I fix this? That is that self-sacrificing. So it's about maintaining strategy when it comes and grounding yourself in relationships. And it's very important that you have a relationship with yourself first. So when you go through the first 6 houses and you do your internal world and you're having a relationship with yourself, starting with self-love, then you can go into the external world and operate from being fully whole and not from a place of abandoning yourself. All right, so that is it for the 7th house. I hope that this was helpful for you. We always do end with neuroplasticity. And this, I want to focus around dimming your light. Because with women, we are so heavily programmed from our female lineage, family female lineage, that it's safe not to speak up. It's safe not to, to create ease, no chaos, and asking for what you want, or you tell yourself you're being difficult, or it's like, let me just dim, let me feel invisible, and let me make other people feel safe. So it's really important that you work through that, but you have to first acknowledge where you are doing that when it comes to relationships, because it could be a habit. It could be something that is so heavily programmed in your subconscious mind, you're not even aware that you're doing it. And so there's certain things that happen in your present moment where you'll have ahas, where something will just, a light bulb will come on. And so when you get that aha moment and you can't unsee what you've seen, so then what happens is you start pointing the finger at the other person because you haven't realized that it's been you dimming your light from this program that you have. So if you want to dive in deeper about dimming your light, like I said at the beginning of this video, you can head over to celiasasser.com and check out my blog post where I take you through some of the steps and some of the awareness of where you are dimming your light. And like always, if you like this video, be sure to hit the like button, hit subscribe, and share it with a friend. And I'll see you next time.